Kaya, first, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. Right off the top, okay, new single, Heart Clicks, correct? Okay.
Yep.
What the heck took you so long to record this song? Because I loved it from beginning to end. All I thought to myself was, if this song was released in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, whatever, this would be a hit. I love the sound of it. I love your vocals on it. I love the whole presence of this song. Congratulations on this great single.
Oh, that is so beautiful. You said that. That's what the feedback I'm getting is people are saying, I actually can't, like they're putting it on repeat. They're like, I just
Yes.
feel so good when I listen to this. What's going on, Kaya? So, and I have a secret to tell you. Like that song wrote itself in about like minutes. Yeah. And that song literally wrote itself.
You know what? It's almost like, can I say giving birth? It was just like it was meant to be. And if anything, because of what we've been going through for the last couple of years, this is the perfect song to just drown ourselves into. Congrats on this.
Thank you so much. Well, it's so funny. Can I tell you a little story about it?
Yeah, please.
So when I was in the studio with Kevin, we started that song. So my son and Kevin were just like recording some drums. The whole record was made like that. They were recording some drums, and I was in listening in the booth, and I just started humming along like la 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 la. And Kevin said, "Whatever that is, I love that. We're doing that." So I went in and recorded that, and then I said to him, it was late at night. I said, "You know what? I think we should stop." And I'm just being told, like in the morning, I'm just going to know what to sing. And in the morning, I got up and it just literally flew right out of me, One Love. And even as I was singing it, it was like, isn't this something that Bob Marley said? And, but it's just, it's the message is so clear right now. We need love. We need love.
Oh my goodness, definitely. What has it been like for you in the last 2.5 years? I would say 2.5 years, 2 years, because of course the world changed, COVID going on. We saw so much. There was anger, there was
Yeah.
pain, and then there were people that were able to conquer, things that were going on. What was it like for you to watch this and to experience it too? Because we saw it on social media, the news, like everywhere.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm a really quiet, actually private person. Like I'm mostly at my cottage with my pets and my kids. And so like I was watching it from the perspective of like being that quiet observer, if that makes sense. So I wasn't in the fray of it all like a lot of people. Luckily, I already do everything online, so that part of my life didn't get too interrupted, but I did feel a lot of pain. And I still do to a certain extent for people, people that are still struggling to find their way out of this. And what I found is that the way to come together is actually no longer to separate. It's actually to come together in a higher space of understanding and graciousness, and no longer dividing. It's like where we see everyone's got a story,
Yeah.
Rudy. Everyone has a story, and every story is really important. And we need to acknowledge that it's been hard for everybody. But I also decided, because I'm that creative type, I thought, well, you know what? It's quiet right now, anyways. So why not create something in this quiet? So that's when we sort of snuck into the studio last February, and just in the depths of winter, just created this artistic expression, which I think is really, really beautiful. But we made the most of it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We like dug in and said, let's do something. So I grabbed the kids, the ones that were around, and Kevy, who's just an expert at what he does, and went to our familiar studio. And it was a great way, it was like that warm comfort in the middle of something that was a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so tough times, you create this beautiful sounding art. So let's go right to it. Folks who want to say, what are we talking about? What is the name of the new album, and how does it represent on who you are today?
Yeah, so it's called All This Is. And that actually is part of the song Heart Clicks. So so the idea that really at the end of the day, all this is love. So we can go through, grief and sorrow and pain and division and, depression and separation. But as you go higher and higher and understanding yourself and really coming into your heart, you realize actually all that's left at the end of the day is love. And so that's why we decided to call the album All This Is, because the album really is, it's like a journey. It's a journey of, so my personal self-healing, my children's self-healing with the loss of their dad, being back in the Bath studio where we hadn't been since he passed away. So there were so many healing parts of creating this album. And I have to say, like, there were times that I was singing that I was literally brought to my knees. Everything just poured out of me. There was not a lot of thought that came into it. It just was an expression of how much I'd been through and who I've become and who I'm becoming, and then carrying that along with my children. So all this is just an expression of the hills and valleys of life, my personal life, that I think, everybody's going to be able to relate to, because we all have those hills and valleys.
No, something else too, and correct me if I'm wrong. You also had to deal with breast cancer. Also, you're a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah, yeah. So, it, like, really, for a family, I really feel for my children, because that's a lot for, for kids to have to go through. So about 10 years ago, I went through a breast cancer. And that resolved itself, which was beautiful. And then, not too long after that, Gord got sick. So it's a lot for a family. But, I've said this before and I'll say it again, is that every opportunity, there's a fork in the road. So for us, it was like, okay, this is really crappy. And, but we're going to grow. Like, we're going to grow from this. We're not going to fall away and, you know, fall into the sort of the depression of life. We're actually going to use this to come together closer. So we came together closer as a family. I watched my children grow really close together. There was a deep respect that I saw grow within us, like where we were like, wow, we went through a lot, but we chose the route of growth in all of this. And I guess, I would say that the record is, it's just a moment in time, really, because there's going to be a lot more music in the future, is what I'm seeing it from, coming from myself. I know, it's just, I'm just beginning. It's so funny, here I am in my 50s, but literally a new artist. But I feel like Gord would be like really celebrating that and being like, yes. And I feel like, it's just that moment in time of, okay, this woman chose to rise up from something that was really challenging. And so that's an example of what we can all do.
What's it like watching your kids in the studio with you?
So I have to say, when I listen to the songs that they like particularly they harmonized on, I get, oh, I get, yeah, that's my life. I have 5 pets.
I
My
love
life is
that.
very,
I love that. I love that.
so when my kids sang, I get shivers every time I hear the songs that they sing with, because I feel so close to them when I hear them singing with me. And, my son's a super talented musician in his own right. He plays a lot of instruments and he's really gifted. But when they sang with me, I thought I was just going to implode inside. And still, when I hear that, I feel that connection of mother and child, that I think other people are going to feel too. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, because and you know what? I'm going to get really personal here on this question. When you were, pregnant with your kids, I'm going to assume that you sang to them before, when they were, you know, just before they were born, and then to have that expression actually being able to see them and doing it together, that must be a beautiful thing to have that kind of experience.
Exactly. And so it started, when I was pregnant with them, for sure. I've always been singing, taking them to the concerts, sports concerts. So they were always part of that. They were in tour buses, they were inside me in these experiences. And then I always had my guitar, and I would grab my guitar when they were little, and we would I would play with them and we would sing together. And so it's always been part of our play and part of our expression together. So it just like we kind of just grew into this, if this makes sense.
It absolutely does make sense. And like I said, the timing couldn't have been better. How does it feel though, too? And hopefully I'm not re-asking this question, but because of what we've gone through, to have music like this is like it's a gift for the world.
It so that's my hope is because so I don't need to do this, but I want to do this because I feel like this music is going to help people. I really do feel that from the bottom of my heart. I feel like it's a really beautiful frequency, the sounds, the tones, my singing. There's a warmth that comes in, and I feel like the people that I shared it with before they've had it for a little while, and they have little kids, and they say, Kaya, I put it on at night as we're going to bed, and my kids fall to sleep to some of those songs. They're like lullabies for them, and they literally drift off, and they're gonzo from this beautiful music. So I feel like it's a comfort in a time of such uncertainty, and so it's a gift, from me to everybody that it speaks to.
I love this. What's going to happen in the future now? Is there going to be any performances that's going to happen with you and the family? Could there be a tour in 2022? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, so we're just like so because everything's happened so fast too. Like I know there's going to be some performances in the future. I don't imagine it's going to be like, the old rock and roll way where you go away for like, 9 or 10 months of the year. But I do think there's going to be really special performances that we will do. And they're going to be beautiful events where um, it's I can already feel where it's going. It's like they're going to be events where people feel a real change from being at like a live show like this, because it also feels like it's going to be more of an expression, a musical expression, than it is going to be a traditional show. I don't even know, but that's what I'm thinking.
No, and I think you're absolutely bang on that. I think it's expression experience, like it's all of that in one. As we're heading to the holiday season, what are the plans for the family personally during the holiday season?
So we're going to just hunker in and have a really beautiful, quiet Christmas at our cottage, with the snow. Beautiful. Hopefully white Christmas. I mean, if we're going to be in Canada, we may as well have a white Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be quiet. One of my kids has been away for a really long time in the UK. She's coming home, so I'm really excited about that. And we're going to be together. We're all going to be together for the first time in actually a long time. So,
I love that. Look, growing up though, what would you say was your favorite Christmas gift as a toy or whatever? What would you say was your favorite growing up?
so when I was really little, my ice skates, I would say, like a really little kid. I love that. Um, and then usually they're things to do. They would be things to use outside. So like whether it's, skis or skates or, things that you can use outside because it's winter time and my family's from the Ottawa Valley. So we always made the most of the snow. So as a little kid that, and then, as I sort of grew up more into an adult, I would say it's the little things. Like our family, we don't exchange big things. It's more like the little things, like gifts that are made by hand, stuff like that, like gifts from the heart. My family's a really creative family, so we tend to go into that space and make things for each other. But it's not the size, it's the thought, right?
That's why you gave us great music. So we're thrilled to get that early Christmas gift. One more question as we're rolling this out. As you know, of course, we're heading into 2022. When 2019 hit, everybody was like, oh, I got to get to 2020. And we got to 2020. They're like, oh, geez, I got to get to 2021. And they're already going, my goodness, we got to get to 2022. What advice, what you've, things that you've dealt with and everything, what advice can you give folks? Because I feel like Yeah, we're going into 2022, but doesn't mean everything changes at the stroke of
No,
midnight.
that's right. And if so, if I could say just from my own experience, is getting comfortable with not knowing and just like really starting to drop into our heart and just getting comfortable, because there's been so many times in my life that I didn't know. And so learning to just be comfortable in the uncertainty, and then actually when you do that you become more certain, as strange as that sounds. So I feel like 2022, yeah, we're probably going to still have some challenges, but if we can start just being comfortable riding, like imagine life like a river, right? We're just flowing, and we know that that river is going to take us to a gorgeous endpoint. We just don't know quite how we're going to get there, but we're going to get there.
Definitely, definitely. I gotta say, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. You know, it's funny. Like I said, I've done this for such a long time. I've interviewed everybody in the hip except Gord, but I am so glad that I got a chance to interview you because it's just as much of a thrill to talk to you. And like I said, love, love, love this new single. And I'm looking so forward to other music that's coming in. Man, talk about bringing people together. You're definitely doing that with your music. Thank you so much for this.
That's really beautiful. And I think that Gord would say thank you as well. So thank you for having me here today. And it was my honor to share this moment with you. So thank you.